see it, say it, believe it, yeah. See it, say it, believe it, yeah. See it, say it, believe it, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristan and Michael, and you are listening to Fuse Transparent Conversations for Marriage, Family, and Relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss perspectives that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and your family to check us out. Connect with us on social media and join the conversation. You can also email us at info@fusedmarriages. All right, Michael, so what are we getting into today?
I am excited about today.
Okay.
So, first of all, let me start off with this. So back in the late 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm aging myself a little bit, but back in the late 80s, there was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a movie about the Hendersons.
Okay.
And the Hendersons were going on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking a trip, and they ended up running over a Bigfoot.
Running over a Bigfoot.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a Bigfoot. You know, some people, my mama, grandma got a big, no, not that.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. A Bigfoot, a myth that, we kind of think about. We don't know if it's real or not. Sasquatch. There you go.
Uh-huh.
That's even better.
Yeah.
So that leads us into today's topic. Today's topic is about myths in marriages.
Sasquatches. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Myths in marriages. Okay, so jump into it.
So there's a lot of things, right? With marriages, people have some kind of ideas of what they should and shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
We always wonder. We always kind of, especially if we haven't really been around people that kind of talked about it openly.
Right.
All you see is kind of the outside, what's made up and kind of what they present, whether it's on social media or whether when you're in their presence, it's just different.
Right.
Because once you get in it, it gets real.
Yeah, for sure.
It gets real.
For sure. Real. Mm-hmm.
No. So the first thing I want to talk about is it's about love, right? Because marriage is about love. Mm-hmm. And the idea about marriage and love is like, you think, you know what? I find this perfect partner.
Perfect?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Some people may think it though, right?
Yeah. Okay.
They could think that they perfect, at least initially. Because I don't know one, but that's perfect. That's it.
Hey now.
Don't let me get started.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know how I should take that.
But there's only one issue with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that people think that real love should never have problems or real love should be easy. Is that a myth to you? Is it if somebody is deeply in love with somebody, should that be like an easy road or easy journey in that relationship? Does that kind of equate to that?
I don't think that it should be an easy road, but it shouldn't be impossible. Like, you shouldn't be fighting every day, at least in my estimation. If you're fighting all the time about everything, you might want to think about, like, okay, let me back a little bit and see where we really are. And I guess it would also depend on the things that you're arguing about. Are they fundamental to the relationship, or are they like nitpicky? Are they like little things like, okay, he does laundry once a week and I do laundry 3 times a week,
right.
I separate my colors like this and he just puts it all in one load, or she, I just think that it matters the content of the disagreements and then how far they go. Like, if y'all are really at each other's throat about some minor things, then there might be, sorry to say it, but there might be a maturity factor that's not quite there as you're entering into this long-term relationship.
Okay. So you got.
But I want to say this: it doesn't mean that it should be easy. So you shouldn't go into a serious relationship that's heading towards marriage thinking, oh, this is going to be just beautiful. Every day is going to look like my wedding day, because that's not the case. You might have a beautiful wedding, and I've heard it said before, especially in premarital, you want to make sure you're planning for the life, not just the wedding. Right. For the life of the marriage, not just that one day.
That's good. So
I think that you oftentimes can run into people that are more concerned about the external. How does it look? How do our pictures look? How don't we look like a cute couple? And y'all aren't really getting down to some of the nitty gritty fundamental conversations that need to happen prior to marriage so that it can be easier. Because if you have some of those conversations prior to the wedding day, then the marriage itself will be, not that it's going to be an easy road, but it's going to be an easier road because you're going to know your partner in a deeper way.
I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that. I was just getting a little bit deeper into what you're saying is that, and I guess from my perspective of that, I've ran across couples that be like, you know what, they get kind of upset or at least frustrated when their couple, they're going at it. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of got to know each other. And I say get to know, but could be in the first years, you know, first 18 months, that early stage of to get to know somebody. And they're kind of like, why is this person, why are we at it so much? And then they think that, at least if I'm witness, and I may have experienced this too on a personal level, it's like, you know, you get the one like, okay, is this person like, are they like really for me? You know, these people are went through that, or kind of, have you kind of, you know, seen that happen?
Yeah, I think that that's common as you're coming together. And again, I want to reiterate, there is going to be some friction. I think that comes with the concept of iron sharpening iron, but it also comes with the fact that you have two completely different people from potentially completely different perspectives coming together to be united in one unit, to be one thing. And when you're trying to become one, there's going to be a little bit both partners have to give. And sometimes the giving is that kind of, you think of tearing away of yourself. Right, you know, like, gosh, this piece of me that's been a piece of me all these years is no longer applicable to my future. And it might take that other partner to say, okay, this piece right here, we're not going to be able to have for us to be one. And it's partner to partner. Somebody might come into it with some ideals or some thought processes or some perspectives that are not beneficial for the unit. And to be a unit, both partners are going to have to be willing to give up some stuff that they might have come into it thinking there's no problem with this thing that I do, or this habit that I have, or this perspective that I maintain. So I think that it's really important for both partners to be willing to give up a little bit to get farther down the line. And if you're not, then you don't really have a team. You might as well just stay single. Okay. If you don't want to win the game together, then you don't want to win. You know, you have to play a single person sport if you just want to be about you. But if you want to have a winning team, then it's gonna have to be more than just about you. You might have to pass the ball a little bit. You might have to give up a little bit of space, a little bit of freedom, a little bit of what you think is right or what you want to make it happen. What do you think?
No, I dig that. It's just I see that, you know, couples, you know, oftentimes, you know, get frustrated when they're in that early stage, and it's like, you know, I go back to, there's a movie called The Notebook.
Oh,
right?
Lord.
Right. No, it's a great movie. So I'm pretty sure a lot of our audience have seen it, right?
Maybe.
It's a great movie. But the couple in The Notebook, like, they were at it. You know what I mean? Like, they were at it. You would think, like, you know what I mean, if you just saw like a clips of it, that you like, man, there ain't no way they're going to be together. Ain't no way. But it's like, they had to go through that, you know what I mean, that being at it with each other in order to kind of like get to that next level where they were, you know, had basically built that trust. Because once you've gone through it with somebody, you know, we're not talking anything physical, anything like that, but gone through it where, you know what, y'all kind of bumped heads and kind of able to come on the other side of that, I think it ends up building your relationship in a stronger place. Yeah. Because ultimately, it forces you to basically have a deeper conversation of what really happened. There's no way like to grow out of kind of like, okay, we bumping heads on big stuff or small stuff. And like, all of a sudden we just wash it under the rug or sweep it under the rug and like not address it.
That takes a certain amount of thoughtfulness to say like, okay, yeah, like you have to step back and say, okay, we're bumping heads right now. We're like rams. We're let's analyze this. And that takes some give up on both people to say, okay, wait a minute, what are we arguing about? Because a lot of times what can happen in an argument is you end up not arguing about the thing that you started with, but you argue about the stuff after that. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like if we should do a session about this, but there is something that happens in a productive disagreement. There is something that can happen. You can have healthy fighting. You know, you can fight fair and fight healthily where you come out of it better. And I think that if we as people are able to fight fair, are able to have these disagreements and have these arguments where we're able to step back and say, okay, what are we really fighting about? How important is this? Why is this important to you? What can we do to make us both win in this situation? Then we can make that progress, you know, that you're referencing.
Right. Because like in my thinking, I'm like, I don't believe that you can have the best relationship without going through it with somebody. Like if everything is always, you know what I mean, just rose colored glasses and everything is peaches and cream, how you gonna know whenever you're back against the wall where they gonna be at?
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I want to go through it with somebody, not to the point where, you know what, we at each other, we want to like, okay, I want to kill you or choke you out, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
I don't want that either.
I'm like, I ain't talking about that, but like going through with, you know what I mean, some dynamics of life, or like, hey, what does my partner stand at? Are they gonna run? They gonna stand there?
They gonna have my back?
You know what I mean? They gonna have my back? Or they gonna like, okay, I ain't got no problem. Okay, we might have a, you know, a moment where you walk away for a second, but you gonna like, okay, is that it? You gonna turn your back on me, and that's gonna be it's gonna be me against the world, and you go over there and I'm over here. So that's my thoughts on that. I think it just, I mean, people got to grow through it in order to go through it. You know what I mean? To kind of really get their level or their love on a different place.
You got to know sometimes your partner's just gonna get on your nerves. You know. Like they can be, oh, he's so fine, she's so sexy, all that, and they just gonna work your nerves. You're gonna wake up one morning and be like, what? Right. What is this? What did I get myself into? Right. But really processing that. And I think that comes back to making sure that you married the right person, or that you're looking to marry the right person. And there are some key things in that, you know, there's some prayer involved. There's some confirmations that you're going to need. So you need to let some people in your life. It can't just be like, me and my boo, and nobody knows who they are. They're secret. I'm hiding them out. Secret love. Okay. Right. Come on now. We need to let some people know, so that, because they might see some things that you don't see ahead of time. And I'm not saying that means that they should determine your relationship for you. But there are some things like, hey, I want you to say, hey, I'd like to take you out to dinner with me and my girlfriend, or me and my boyfriend, and just kind of let me know what you see. Oh yeah, right. They seem all right, but did you notice? Did you notice this? And again, it's just taking into account. There shouldn't be anybody that determines that that's your spouse. It's you and God. Like, nobody else should come along and be like, they ain't right for you. Like, hold on. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's something that you have to know ahead of time, is that as cute as they are, as smart as they are, as accomplished as they are, as great a dreamer or a visionary, there are going to be days that they're going to get on your nerves. And so you have to have a good, firm, solid foundation. So I think that's one of the myths about marriage. So what do you think about this? Because I've heard this before, that some people get married thinking my spouse, my boo thing is going to like meet all of my needs. They're just going to make me complete. I'm going to be a complete person now. What you think?
I think that's pretty common. I mean, I think us as humans and kind of want to be in relationship with someone that really is just, that's for us. We thinking that, okay, you know what, like myself, like I may know I'm lacking in some areas, even I may not publicly like say it, but I know on my insides, and I pretty much try to find a person that maybe can fill those gaps.
But is that wrong? Is it wrong to know like, hey, I'm only a 10 in this area, and man, this woman right here, she's a 90 in this area. Like if we get together, she helps me where I'm weak, and I can help her where she's weak. Is it really wrong? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about that? Is it wrong? People out there, friends out there, what do you think? Is it wrong to say like, hey, this person, they fill some of those gaps? Is that something that is a negative? Make sure you contact us. Send us email. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. Let us know. info@fusedmarriages.com. But Michael, I want to hear from you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Is if it's wrong or not. And just me thinking it through, it's just like, I don't think it's wrong to like ask for it, but maybe wrong to expect it. You know what I mean? So like, you may have a need that basically, hey, you know what? I'm hoping that my partner can, you know, I'm messy. I use that as an example. And like, I want them to make sure, you know what? Hey, they gonna make sure everything clean. You know what I mean? Because I'm short in that area. I'm falling short.
Is that like? I don't know if I want to say.
Okay, some people out there that's messy. They can't help it. That's what they claim.
Well, they can. Okay, I don't know if you can claim you don't know that you're messy, because I've also heard there's a school of thought, hey, fix everything about yourself before you get married.
Everything?
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I've heard people say it. I do believe personally, and I'm flexible, this could change. I could hear more information and be like, okay, I can consider that. But I do believe you should be working on yourself when you find your spouse. It shouldn't just be you are on the hunt, you are on the prowl. There's nothing else going on in your life, whether male or female. all you want is to get married. I think that could be dangerous because you could end up idolizing your mate because they found you. And it doesn't have to be a woman or a man. It doesn't matter either way. Okay, I found the perfect woman. She's the one. That's all I want. And then you get married and people are human and you start to realize, okay, this perfect mate isn't so perfect. And now I'm ready to back out because that's all I wanted was this perfect mate, or I wanted to be found by a man, or whatever, however you view that. And now I have this guy and I'm worshiping him. I'm doing everything that he wants done. And I'm not satisfied because that wasn't my whole purpose, in being here in the world. So I just wonder, how we negotiate the conversations about what do we bring to the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, we use the term, we say, how you doing? I'm good. But like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? It means different things, different people. What does it mean? I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm going into a relationship, and you know what? I want to be in the status of I'm good. And I ain't gonna take the credit for this, but I heard a pastor say, you know what I'm good means. He said, it means I'm whole, complete, lacking nothing.
Okay.
Right. So whole, you know what I mean? Just kind of being the whole person who God has made you to be. I'm complete, you know what I mean? I'm kind of satisfied in my completeness of where, at least who I am and where I'm at. And I'm lacking nothing. Not saying I don't want nothing, but I'm not lacking anything where I'm like really wanting somebody else to like fill a deep void that I may have.
Okay, but isn't it possible for a partner to come along and kind of help you in your healing process? Isn't that possible? Like, hey, you've been broken or you've been wounded. It's not to say that you're not doing your own work, but there comes somebody alongside of you. It's like, man, this person, they're really a great friend. And I'm not saying that every relationship has to evolve out of this like long-term friendship. Not that it shouldn't, because that's ultimately goal is you get married and you get to hang out with your best friend all the time. But it's also this kind of possibility. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, that you could be in the race and there's somebody that comes along running next to you.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with the possibility. There's nothing wrong whatsoever. Like, man, you know what? I want this person to help me achieve this, that, and the other. But I think I would stop short of that, of saying that I want to hold them accountable of making sure I get to that other, you know what I mean? I got to move my own boulder. You know what I mean? We listen to that, you know what I mean? Some messages about that, whatever. But like, that's my responsibility to roll my own stone away. So that's just where I'm at. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Having like, hey, the desire or this, that, and the other. But when you start holding somebody accountable, even in like a subconscious way, because it may not be publicly spoken that way, but like, okay, you know what? They not helping me do this. And I start holding something against them about that. That may be problematic. I don't know.
I've also heard this school of thought is like, somebody's going to come along and I'm going to get married and then my life is going to make sense. This concept. What do you think about that? We're going to get together. We're going to become one and everything's going to be made perfect, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that's, we're talking about myths here, myths of marriage and like, somebody coming in and, basically filling all the gaps and like, okay, you know what? They basically complete my circle, if you will, as I can use that terminology. And I think that can be an issue. It's like, again, it comes back with me saying that, hey, I'm dependent on this person to really just make me something that I may not be yet, but can they help me versus make me? I mean, I guess that's the term I would use, right? Can they help me get there versus make me get there? And I'm like, let me lean toward like, hey, maybe they can help me, but it's not their responsibility to make me get there.
Right. Friends, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that it is possible to get into a relationship and have some brokenness, have some issues that you're still working through and it still be a healthy relationship? Or do you think, have you heard somebody say, hey, this person, they really complete me. They really make my life make sense? Let us know. Hit us up, info@fusedmarriages.com, or hit up any of our social media platforms @fusedmarriages. Okay, so Michael, here is another kind of thought that I want your perspective on from myths about marriage. All right, so you will instantly, quote unquote, trust your spouse. You kind of hit on that a little bit earlier, but I'm just curious. Let's kind of dive in there, because a lot of us think that you trust your spouse. That's why you get married. I mean, your fiance, you're getting married because you trust them. Is it possible to get married and not really trust? Is that dangerous to get married and not really trust your spouse? Is there a fundamental level of trust? I mean, what do you think?
So I guess I hear that question in two different ways as you were saying about trust, right? Because trusting your spouse and saying, okay, I trust you to say, you know what, to be honest and be open, and we're gonna share ideas and thoughts. And then there's another part of trust that I hear in that same question about, hey, am I gonna basically just be an open book? You know what, we get married, you know, you're gonna know everything about me, you know, starting week 1, month 1, year 1, year 5, right? So I think trust should be there like from the start. You know what I mean? For basically for relationship, kind of like to have that foundation, to be there from the start and saying that, you know what, okay, I trust that you're okay with going through this journey with me.
Okay. So you're talking about there's a foundational
trust, right? And then I think there's a part 2 of that trust where a part 2 of the trust where we have to like open up to one another in a way that we haven't open up to anybody else in our life. And it could be the first time we're actually doing that if we haven't had a lot of relationships, probably have, you know, close relationships. So that's my thoughts on that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I can agree with what you're saying. I guess I hadn't thought about trust being part 1 and part 2. I think that's a really good way to look at it, because I do think there has to be a foundation of trust as we're going into this. Okay, there are some things some reasonable expectations that I have that, okay, you're not going to do these things. You are going to do these things. That's the foundation. I like that. And I do think that you also grow in trust. And I think that comes from something we were talking about earlier. As we're experiencing life together, I can trust you with different parts of me that maybe I didn't even intentionally know I was holding back. Right. You know what I mean? I think that, like, if you've ever, and friends out there, maybe you've had this, if you've ever lost somebody in your life, and you see how your partner responds, or you see how they care for you or don't care for you in some cases, then that affects your level of trust for them. Or you, financially, you see how they handle money, then you might be able to like, okay, well, maybe we can build towards something in this area. And that's ultimately the goal, that you have complete and total trust, or how somebody cares for you when you're hurting, or somebody cares for you when you're upset, or in different seasons of life. How do they look after you and care about you when you have young children, or when you have aging parents, or something like that? How do you deal with those different circumstances? So I think that that's an area of the depth of trust. Yep. So I think that can affect how the relationship proceeds, because a lot, I would say, and I'd like your input on this, divorces fundamentally are somewhere along a breakdown of trust. I no longer trust you with my heart. I no longer trust you with my future. I don't trust you to be faithful. I don't trust you with my finances. I don't trust you in parenting. Right. Somewhere in there, there's I don't really believe that we can make this work. So I don't fundamentally trust you in some area, in some way, some foundational way. This isn't going to work because of this thing. And I think that that's a hard thing to recover too, is trust. Trust is hard. Right. If somebody is down and they're not handled properly, that's a hard thing to get back. Yeah. So I think that trust is ultimately, I would say, probably the foundation of a good relationship. And if there are some signs prior to marriage that there's going to be some trust issues, then that's something that should be, like, in my mind at least, that's a red flag. Like, it doesn't mean don't be with this person, but that definitely means, okay, I need to keep my ears and eyes open. I need to think through this. I need to, process this a little bit deeper, more than just like, well, I love them. Because like the old song, what's love got to do with it? Come on now. So, I mean, you can love somebody and it doesn't mean that this is who the one. Right. Because, your emotions can lead you down some really dark paths and can connect you to some of the wrong people just because they make you feel good. Right. That might be another session. But
it might be. That's good. You was on it.
I'm just saying. So what do y'all think out there? Trust, how foundational really is trust? Were there any red flags in your relationship or relationships you had prior to marriage where you were like, oh, I saw this little thing and I'm glad that I paid attention? Or, you know what, we had to work through something in our marriage because we didn't really have that great solid foundation of trust. Let us know. Contact us. Holler at us. Tell us how you've made it through that, how you've processed that, how you worked through that. info@fusedmarriages.com. I also think, Michael, that trust should be an ongoing, like you were saying, ongoing with each level of relationship. It's a deeper level of trust. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can take, I hear couples all the time that we kind of get mentored by, like, they're still building their relationship and discovering one another. I think I heard in David and Tamela Mann's book, or maybe doing an interview, I can't remember which one, whatever, but basically, like, they're still like, discovering and learning about one another and trying to figure each other out. And like, I mean, we're changing, right? So, I mean, I got to trust you enough, as I change, that you're still going to love me, in a way that I need. So, I mean, so just us, trying to discover that, right? And kind of that, it's an ongoing process of really trying to understand how we're going to grow and like really get beyond the myth, right? Of saying, okay, day one, I'm going to trust you 100%. You're going to know everything about me, and it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's an important point that, we grow in this thing. As the relationship grows, we grow, and our roots get a little bit deeper. It's kind of like that tree, as the relationship continues to go up, our roots have to continue to go down. Our foundation has to continue to move forward and grow and expand so that we can maintain that height, So I think that's good stuff. Myths about marriage. Major stuff happening. We want to see you successful. So thank you all for joining us. Make sure that you connect with us. Let us know. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know how you're progressing, how you're processing. Hit us up on our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website for more content and resources, fusedmarriages.com. Let's talk about it.
You're listening to Fused with Tristan and Michael.